Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion. Your host, the Hut, and please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and like the video along the way. We're going to get into this thing with the... so stupid. This is about as stupid of a thing I've seen in a long time. But before we get into that, please direct your attention. I was going to do the live stream on the Baseball Hut too, because I just was. But then this thing popped up. I was like, I got to reach more people with this for obvious reasons. This is complete total stupidity. You know. So I'm going to put the link into the Baseball Hut too, and then we'll get into this thing. It's just I just don't understand this, you know. But we'll get into it because it's kind of them, you know, it sort of represents what's been going on here for the last month and probably most of the season. You know, this stuff tends to sort of come out at the end of a bad season, and now this stuff is starting to come out. I was wondering what the shoe was gonna be, what shoe was gonna drop. So I'm gonna put the link into the Baseball Hut too. Please subscribe. It's doing rather well. All right, let me get into the chat before we get into this thing with Lindor and with BAEZ. John Talento, I freaking hated this trade. What a joke. P. Crow Armstrong is going to be an all-star. I don't know about that. I don't think he can hit. Sandy has to go. From the Mothman. Evolved. BAEZ is a clown. We can say what we want. We, the fans, pay the ticket. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Hello, Ruben T. From the Mothman again. BAEZ starts something, open a can of worms. Now the fans will sound off. The Hut will sound off. That's right. Danny Thomas. Who dislikes a video before it even starts? Well, I have a fat stalker. A big, dumb, fat stalker. That's who dislikes this video. He thinks he's funny. He can go F himself. Sledge 420. Yo. So, let me read you this. You know, I'm having problems with the share screen. You know, the computer runs very slow here. But let me read you what the article says from SNY. Now, I watched the end of this game. The Mets, you know, they played a good game, but they're playing against a bad team. They are 9-19 in August. Okay. They have played horrendous since the start of the second half, and in fact lost the last game of the first half. Okay. They've not hit all season long. And BAEZ doing this shit. You just got here, fella. You just started playing here. What the hell are you doing all this histrionics? Oh, I'm going to make a prediction. He's not going to be here next year. He can be able to handle any kind of booing. There's a, you know, let me get into this. Let me read this from SNY. After the Mets 9-4, and they won today, after the 9-4 win over the Washington Nationals on Sunday afternoon, infielder Javi Baez explained what his new thumbs down celebration means. I'll let the fans know exactly how he feels about getting booed. Just the boos that we get. We're not machines. We're going to struggle. We need to play some violins for this. We're going to struggle 7 times out of 10. It just feels bad when I strike out and I get booed. It doesn't really get to me, but I won't want to let them know that we're going to do the same thing to them. This is so stupid. This is about as immature as it gets. If we win together, then we're going to lose together, and the fans are a really big part of it. In my case, they got to be better. I play for the fans, and I love the fans. But if they're going to do that, then just put more pressure on the team, and that's not what we want. It was my opinion. It's just how I feel. I love the fans, and I could tell. Can't you? And I like playing for the fans. I could see that too. But we can't have our fans against us. Hello, Steve Perez. Why couldn't they just lie? Like with the raccoon situation. This is going to start so much on this. I know. It is. Hello, SBFM Baseball. Let me tell you something. I'm going to get into Lindor in a minute because he's also the one doing this stuff. Him and Pilar. I'm very surprised at Kevin Pilar doing this. from Mario, is this guy serious? When you do great, the fans boo. When you suck for 6 weeks, then we'll boo. What the F? This is not Minnesota. But I figure you would know that coming from a big, yeah. But here's the thing about the Chicago fans. They cheer everybody. The Cub fans cheer everybody. They don't boo. They don't boo. And now here's this dope, Louis Rojas. This speaks of a big problem in that clubhouse now. Okay. This speaks of the leadership in that clubhouse. I'm sure in the past players have felt this about fans here, or any player feels that way about a fan. I guarantee you that has happened before. This should not have gotten outside the clubhouse. Okay, if David Wright was in that clubhouse, that would not have happened. Okay, that would not have happened, and it would not have happened with a guy who just got here. So if you don't have leadership on the field like a guy like David Wright, and if you don't have a strong enough manager, this certainly would not have happened if Terry Collins was the manager. And this certainly would not have happened with Bobby here, and it certainly wouldn't have happened with Davey here. That's for damn straight. That's for damn sure. Let me read you what with Rojas, who is all of a sudden, I see nothing. I know nothing. He didn't know about that stupid horse that they were riding around, a couple of weeks ago, and now he doesn't know what's going on here. Let me read you. The article continues. Manager Luis Rojas was asked about BAEZ's comments and said that it's something he's going to have to get used to from a passionate fan base. I haven't had many conversations with Javi about that. Everything's been about the game, getting to know Javi more and more every day. He's an outstanding kid to be around. Javi being a new guy here, getting to know our fan base, some of the reaction that our fan base has, you see it's something he's learning. Our fans are like that. Our fans are very passionate. They're going to demand the best out of everyone here, players, managers. We understand where it's coming from. It's always been like that. They demand the best. They demand wins. We just got to keep working to deliver it to them and be our best. I think it's something he's probably getting used to it. It's the first time he's had another uniform. Here's the thing. Also in this thing, he didn't know about the thumbs down. Okay. All right. Let's continue. Rose went on to say that Mets fans have every right to boo and react how they want to when the team is not performing up to standards. They have the right to react however they want, especially Mets fans, New York fans, this market. But he did say in the press conference, he didn't know about the thumbs down. How could he not know about it? This guy doesn't know what's going on. See, that's why I really believe that he's not going to be back, because I see now a disconnect with him in the front office, because he didn't know that Syndergaard wasn't going to be throwing any sliders in his rehab appearances. Okay. And his thing about Syndergaard, he was supposed to pitch today. He's got COVID. What's with this guy? This is the second time he's gotten some illness. You remember he got the hoof disease from those kids. He went to the camp and he got the hand and foot disease and he couldn't play for a while. The same thing here. What the hell's going on? He put a shirt on. They didn't know he should put a shirt on, for God's sake. That's why he got sick. But let's get into this thing with BAEZ. All right, BAEZ has been on a team in a town. It's a big city, but they act like a bunch of little towners. I mean, we've seen it. I mean, we saw it in the last few years. Whenever they beat the Mets, they play that stupid song. They act like a bunch of like a college town with the Cubs. So they don't boo any players on that team. They don't boo anybody. Okay. And in terms of the way the Cub fans treat their players, they treat them like a small town. That's a lot like St. Louis in a lot of ways. Now, it's a big city, but they have very different stand in terms of their sports teams than we do. Now, Lindor. Okay. Lindor doesn't get it. And I was very concerned about this trade when the Mets brought him in here. First of all, I try not to do this. I know a lot of guys write to me complaining about the Mets, and they use past examples of things that have happened to the Mets over the years. They talk about players that are relevant to today. But when the Mets were talking about making this trade for Lindor, when it was sort of bouncing around, I was very leery of it because the Mets have had a bad history making trades with Cleveland. We have the Robbie Alomar trade. We have the Carlos Baerga trade. And I was concerned that if they brought another guy in here, it was going to be a problem in some way. The Indians never trade anybody good, ever. And the Mets always seem to be a sucker for these middle infielders from Cleveland for whatever reason. And I felt that they could probably go one more year with um, Rosario. Considering that 2 years ago they won 86 games, I was not a big fan of Rosario, but so when that trade happened, I was like, all right, let's see Lindor play a little bit here before the Mets, commit to a long-term deal. Now they've done this; they've committed a long-term deal to him, and just looking at this, and also considering how this whole situation between him and McNeil, and instead of him saying it's like, well, we had a bit of a disagreement on the field in terms of where we needed to be. We aired it out in the tunnel, and that's it. And that would have been the end of the story. Instead, he does this weird thing about the raccoon and a possum, and it made it out to be something bigger than it was. It wasn't a big deal, but there's a real lack of maturity here from him in particular, and now we see it with this whole thing about, well, I'm gonna boo the fans. What are you, like 5 years old? You don't do that as a professional. A professional player doesn't do that. And if you're gonna, and he's been here over half a year now, so he knows the deal now. Okay, the red flag went up for me when about a month and a half ago. He hit. I think it was the end of June. I think he hit a grand slam. Uh, he hit a grand slam, and the Mets won. It was I forget what game it was, and he was round the bases, and he was very quiet about it. You know him; he's very demonstrative. He's always hooting and hollering, all that stuff, screaming, a complete total stupidity. All right. And after the game, he's like, "Well, I thought I was going to be booed. What? What are you on crack? You're not going to get booed. Why would you get booed? You just hit a home run, a grand slam." And to me, I was like, "The Mets, you got to watch this. This is, And considering now that this has come out with this whole thing about this sort. First of all, I would be very shocked if this continues Tuesday. Okay, I would be very surprised. I'd be very surprised that they will be doing this thumbs down thing. And it's funny, they were doing the okay sign for a long time. They were playing well. And here's another thing. This thing with the thumbs down, this has been more than just today. This has sort of been popping up over the last week or two. I've noticed it over the last week or two, but because they haven't been playing well, it hasn't really taken hold of anything. But we have to, first of all, as fans, I spent so much of my time just as to put on a good show for everybody here. I can't tell you how much work I put into this show. You all spend so much time watching my videos, and not just my videos, but guys like Mets Fans Only, Wardy, Frank on Sports, Tony Metro, all of them. They put in so much work. I put in so much work. Okay, and you guys come in here and you watch the show, you watch the videos. You really care about the team. We all do. Okay, I don't need some asshole telling me that I can't boo him because he struck out 4 times. Fuck him. And I don't need Lindor telling me that I don't have that right. And I would point out in a couple weeks, I'm going to Citi Field. Okay. And if I feel the need to boo their ass, I'm going to boo them. And I've booed a lot of players over the years. Believe me. But the idea that these guys are above it, the hell they are. And Lindor is from a place that they don't boo anybody either. By the way, Cleveland, nobody boos anybody there. They just don't show up. Okay, when we go to these games, there may not be a lot of people in that ballpark at times, and it seems that the attendance is really down all over baseball. But I think a lot of it has to do with the virus. But The people that are there, they want to win. Everybody wants to win. Everybody that comes into my live stream, all you guys that are watching, you guys want to see the Mets win. I want to see the Mets win. You know, this is crazy. I mean, all the and we spend money going to the games, spend money on the merchandise, spend money on all the stuff. Now, this has been going on for 2 years, not only with us, but a lot of the fans. I'm not going to get into this sort of political stuff, but the same thing there. They disrespect us. They disrespect us for the last 2 years. So this is no surprise that this is going on. You know, but this ain't like last year when these assholes were taking a knee, acting all like they're heroic, and there's nobody in the ballpark. We're in the ballpark. We could boo their asses. And like I said, the only person that's going to be able to get this shit to stop is the owner. We're going to see what kind of owner we have. Because if this continues on Tuesday, that means there's a major problem up top. And I'm sure he is not happy with this. I can guarantee you that. And I know Sandy's not happy with this because they said that they're all about the customers. So if they're all about the customers, they better make damn sure that they do this properly. Go into that club and say, look, if we see this, there's going to be a problem. And that'll put a stop to it. It really will. That the buck stops with Steve Cohen. If this continues on Tuesday, which I'd be very surprised with, we have to hold him accountable. If there is a problem, if I see them doing this nonsense with first of all, they do it, the fans are going to boo them. So this is going to be a major. They will be booed like you've never seen in your life. BAEZ and LINDOR are going to learn something very, very quickly. You don't mess with the customers. Okay, especially baseball fans, especially us Mets fans. I'll mention this again, and I mentioned it a few times over the last year. Mets fans are the most passionate of all the fans that are out there online. They're passionate on YouTube. They're passionate on Twitter. They're passionate on Facebook. Now, we can talk about the politics that's going on around us, but you know what? That has not changed, okay? I've seen it over the past year, and I wasn't really part of any kind of not part of any groups or anything, but I'm sure people are very passionate about this stuff because this is our team, and we love coming here, we love talking about it. And another thing, I would probably predict that BAEZ is not going to want to be here now. He's not going to want to stay. I mean, would you want to go to a place where you're going to be booed at some point? I highly doubt it. And I'm starting to, like I said, I wonder what kind of maturity, is around Lindor, and the maturity around this team in particular. There are major problems with this clubhouse now, and there's major problems with the management, with the manager in particular. This should never have gotten out. This never should have gotten out onto the field. I am very pissed off about this. I don't get too pissed off about it. But seeing how this display, Jaden says this, you guys are soft. Let them have fun. Are they booing directly you? Well, we spend money. Let me ask you something, Jaden. If you go into a store and an employee boos at you, how do you feel about that? Probably don't feel too good. You don't see that. But a customer can go in and say, look, I don't like this. I don't like that. And they can be very nasty. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen that. So, and booing, is that the wrong booing? I'll boo you, Jade. Boo! Boo! You ignore it. These guys are professionals. I haven't seen this kind of it's a very strange reaction. Remember Beltran? Beltran was booed pretty good in 2005, and he didn't like it. In 2006, he hit a home run, and the Met fans we all cheered him, and he had to be pushed out for a curtain call, and he finally got it. But it's a very strange thing. All right, Jaden. I don't know if you know the rules around here, but skadoosh. Bye-bye. I have no qualms to throw you out of here very quickly. All right, you're an old guy. The bullshit. This is bullshit. Okay, you have a standard of behavior. You don't go into a store and expect the clerk to scream at you and yell at you. It doesn't work that way. You lose business, and they're going to put themselves in a situation they're going to lose business. Okay, Jaden needs to grow up too. There's a stupidity going on around baseball right now, where they're giving the finger to the fan, and that's going to stop. And a lot of it comes from Nike, to be honest with you, but that's not going to happen here. It was Julio Franco that pushed Carlos Beltran out, but Delgado was behind the scenes. He helped a lot. Uh, Clearly, Baez is not a New York player. You're not a New York type of guy. Uh, and I would expect that he will not be back next year. I would be shocked. It was Franco. I would be very shocked if he was back next year now. And Lindor has got to learn, if he's going to play here, he's got to accept the highs and the lows here. If he can't take the booing, then maybe he should ask for a trade. Good luck with that one. But like I said earlier, the Mets were too quick to sign him. JC wants to know, how does Nike have to do with the pointing the finger at the fans? Well, the fans spend the money. Nike is the one that pushed the players to take the knee last year. And they took the knee last year. And if the fans were in the ballpark, they wouldn't have done that. And that's where you sort of see some of this stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with Nike. Nike's a major problem in this country, a major problem in sports in general. I don't want to get into it, but a lot of it comes from them because they're the ones that push this disrespect of us. Okay. But again, no player has taken a knee this year. And a lot of this comes from that. But I don't want to get into too much into that right now. But here's from Charlie. Nobody would trade for Lindor in his contract. I know that's the problem. And Lindor, he comes across now to me as a baby. He comes across to me as extremely immature, extremely thin-skinned, and they're gonna have to figure out how to get somebody in here. Oh, about racism. Oh, okay. Well, you're going to. I have no patience for that either. Bye bye. I have no point in that. They're so interested in racism. JJ, whatever happened to Jacob Blake and the police? Which is the reason why Dom Smith took a knee. The police are exonerated. No one's talked about him. So you're so for it. All right. Here's from Ed Mig. Who is your second baseman if not Baez? Well, first of all, now that Baez has shown to me that he's not going to be able to handle playing here for the long term, can play McNeil there. You know, the Mets have so much talent on the infield in the minor leagues. They got Beatty, they have Vientos, they have Mauricio, who's a little bit behind them. So the Mets could do stuff there. The problem isn't so much second base. The whole team is a mess. Besides Pete and Nimmo, they have at least 3 holes in this lineup, aside from Lindor, that has to be addressed. They don't have a. They really. Dom Smith has been a major disappointment. Conforto has been a disappointment. Jeff McNeil has been a disappointment, and they're gonna have to. One of these guys is gonna have. I've been sort of half and half for a while on Conforto. I was like, you know what? He's not gonna get a big contract. He's not gonna get a big contract now. He's not gonna get a big contract. So in all likelihood, I was thinking maybe give him a qualifying offer, but I'm thinking I don't even think it's worth it. And it's one of those things that He's such an up and down player, and he affects this lineup in a negative way when he doesn't hit. Um, McNeil, I don't know what happened to McNeil. McNeil has been a problem, and it's one thing if he's hitting 310 and getting on base at 370 at 37% of the time, but when he's just you know getting on and he's hitting 250 and he's screaming, that doesn't look good. And Dom Smith is playing exactly how I thought he would be playing. I was very shocked at how well he played last year offensively. Offensively, he's been a disaster. And if you look past the numbers from last year, his numbers are basically that of a guy that's not a major league player. I know a lot of people like Dom, but and I like him too, but he's not played well. His offense has been horrendous. From Charlie, McCann was a horrible signing. He's been, for what he I have no problem with it because of the fact that Alvarez is in the Mets system. In about a year, McCann's not going to be the everyday catcher. Um, I would assume that Alvarez will be here either at the very end of next year or in 2023. And I think at that point, McCann will probably be the backup. I have not had all that much of an issue with the catching. Other than that, in terms of their offense, I think they've been okay. I can live with it. And they've done a great job of the running game. But their ability to catch catch a ball is not very good. Being able to sort of call a game, they've been pretty good. Ed Mig, nobody's disrespecting the fans when they take a knee. Well, most fans aren't into this shit. Most fans aren't into this shit. And most fans are getting tired of being told that they're racist. And that's what that was all about. I'm dropping that. Please don't ask me that anymore. From Matthew Landau, honestly, last year's season numbers mean nothing. I knew Dom was going to have a bad year this year. I thought so too. I was not a believer of him. I know a lot of people were coming into the live stream wanting the Mets to trade Pete, which is ridiculous, and hold on to Smith and play him at first. I seen him enough that I realized that he doesn't have a fast bat. His bat is very, very slow. Just going through my Twitter feed, but yeah. So this whole thing is a very toxic situation with these players, and obviously whatever's been going on in that clubhouse has gotten through to us. And it never should have happened. Rojas is responsible for this outburst today. And the Mets are going to have to put out this fire before. A good thing is not tomorrow. Good thing there was no doubleheader today, and this came out. They're going to have to put this out. I mean, ownership is going to have to take charge here because if they don't, this could get very, very ugly. This is going to get extremely ugly on Tuesday. But I would be shocked if it went any further than today. If it does, then there's a problem with the owner. Because and I would point out that management, the front office, the manager, and the owner have all come out and said about the players that this is all on the players, the way they've performed, the way they have played. They're the ones that have talked about this. You know what I mean? I mean, they are the ones that are trying to hold the players accountable. They said that the players aren't listening in terms of hydrating. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. Matthew Landau, HUD, what happened today? I got here a few minutes ago and I'm confused what happened. All right. During the game, Lindor and Baez were you know what they were doing the whole thing with the OK sign. Well, they were doing something else. Um, they were doing this sort of thumbs down thing. And after the game, they asked Baez, what does that mean? He goes, well, that's for the fans because when they cheer us, when they boo us, it bothers us. So when we do well, we boo them. Um, it's a very bizarre take, and also Kevin Pillar was doing this too. So this is the fact that these three guys are doing this in particular. Him in particular is very surprising. He's a veteran player, but I also would point out that he played in Canada, and nobody cares what they do up there. You know, I mean, if you, I watched the se- hold on, agent, look. I watched the second game that they played in Canada, and they were cheering pretty good the first game. That second game, it was like a morgue. You know, nobody was cheering. It was quiet. Nobody was talking. It was like the most quiet place I've ever seen. So he's another guy that um, isn't not used to being criticized. You know, by the fans. You know, from Matthew, the fans are what gives these players a living. That's ridiculous. It is. But I think that Baez, I would be now surprised if he was back next year with the Mets. I think this already shows that he's not the player you want here in terms of his temperament. Um, I had been saying that I need to see him a little bit more because obviously with that injury that he had for the 10 days, I didn't get a chance to really get a chance to watch him. Um, and considering what he said, I don't want him back. That's a bad mix now with him and Lindor. And Lindor pushed for him, by the way. Lindor pushed for him. So Lindor already has a strike when it comes to recommending players. They're giving Lindor way too much power, and he's not proven anything in terms of his terms of character. And his character is a little shaky. And again, I don't want to repeat myself. His behavior since he's gotten here has been very immature, and the Mets are going to have to really bring in some support for him to during the long term. They're going to have to bring in some players that could really help him out a lot. Uh, Ed makes sense. The manager's gone after this season. This does not speak well of the manager. Like I said, I'm sure there've been instances where players have been pissed off at the fans. I can guarantee that. And here's the thing: they shouldn't be worried about the fans. They should be worried about their performance, what they're doing in these spots, what they're doing in big spots. You know. But this really is a major problem for the manager, because the manager didn't seem to know what was going on with this whole thing with the thumbs down until after the game. We also, like I said earlier, he didn't know much about that stupid horse that they were having riding around in the dugout a few weeks ago. Um, and this whole thing with Syndergaard, he didn't know that Syndergaard wasn't throwing sliders in his rehab, so that does not spell well about the sort of connection between the manager and the front office and the player. So this does not speak well of Louis. It really doesn't. This is a bad situation now. Now, and it's funny. This stuff tends to pop up at the end of a bad season. Stuff like this starts to build in a crescendo. They had a bad August. They were 9-19. Okay, this is not a team that's 19-9. Okay, this is a team that's been 9 and meanwhile Baez has only been here a month, and he's already complaining. Here's from Todd Licata. They're 63-68, and they won 2 out of 3. They think they are doing well. From Nelson, ha ha. 10 more years if I just want to be one of the guys. Right. Most guys aren't booing the fans. They're not giving the thumbs down to the fans. You imagine Mike Piazza had done that? Imagine if he'd done that. Man, it's just unreal. This is not going to be forgotten. I mean, this is going to be talked about on WFAN for weeks. You know, this is going to be talked about tonight. My goodness. Uh, Boy, oh boy, and absolutely tied from they playing the Nationals. You know, um, now this year it's been a very strange year because one, they've had all these weird double headers. Two, they've had horrific. We've had horrific weather here in New York all year. Uh, it rained terribly here on Friday evening before the game came on. It was pouring here. The weather that we've had here has been so bad for the Mets, and really all year. Even when they've been on the road, the weather's been terrible here. Um, you know, DeGrom has been hurt. They've had all these injuries, and it's been tough. I mean, this has been, but they were holding their own. They were in first place. They were managing it, but the thing is, was that they weren't able to push away. They weren't able to sort of say, you know what, uh, they weren't able to pull away from these teams, and they should have. They had a lead. It was a 4-5 game lead. They could have pulled away, and they didn't. They played mediocre baseball. And of course, Zach Scott, the Mets GM, said that they've been mediocre all year. So the front office recognizes the problems here. Somebody wrote to me, said that the GM is a double talker. He's telling you they've stunk. He's telling you that the play has been mediocre. You know, and the things that have happened here is they lost DeGrom. And I'm going to point this out again for the millionth time. They never should have played him. They never should have pitched him on that road trip and Chicago and Colorado. They never should have pitched him because ever since then he wasn't the same. And they were managing his arm. So obviously there was a problem that they should not have done that. I said that. I hate being right about all this stuff. I hated being right about Dom. I hate being right about Lindor. You know. But obviously they're going to have to be changes now. But I give the owner a mulligan because he's been here a year. He's going to have to sort of change a lot of the sort of mentality here, especially in that clubhouse. You know, so we're going to have to see going forward what kind of changes he implements. Now, the front office has done a good job. They did a good job with the defense. The defense has been terrific. The bullpen, they made a major improvement to the bullpen. The starting staff would have been fine if they didn't have all these injuries. I mean, to lose Lucchesi to Tommy John, lose Yamamoto for most of the season. I heard he's in a rehab right now. Not have Syndergaard at all this year. Not have DeGrom for most of the season. And I mean, and it was, this is not a disaster. Here's from Richard: the team president, the GM, and the manager need to go. Well, you're not getting all three. One of them's gonna go. Probably the manager. The team president, Sandy's not going anywhere. He's part of that ownership group. He's an owner. He's part of the ownership. Okay, he's not going anywhere. And this is not a Sandy problem. All right, it's an ownership problem. Owner has to figure out what needs to change. The manager has to go. Okay, this is a manager of the old regime. They need to make a change. Okay, bring in a manager that's got more experience, that has a little more gravitas in that clubhouse. This would not have happened if Buck Showalter were the manager. This would not have happened if John Gibbons was the manager. I'm just throwing names out there. Somebody mentioned this name to me the other day, Joe McEwen. Joe McEwen is a coach for the White Sox now. He's their base coach. All right. People think very highly of him. He played here. Well, he knows what the deal is here. Okay. Now, Louis was put in a very difficult situation here with the Mets because of the fact that He was one of the candidates that was uh, being interviewed for the job after Mickey left. He didn't. He came in third, and it came down, I guess, to Eddie Perez and to Beltran. Beltran got the job. Uh, it's a shame they fired him. Looking back, considering how all these other guys have gotten back into the game, I hope Beltran has a chance to be manager someday. Okay, you're either going to punish all the players with the Astros or you're not. And the fact that he is taking the hit and Alex Cora hasn't, it really bothers me. Uh, but and Beltran, I don't know what's going to happen with his career, whether he's going to get into the Hall of Fame, but he's. I wish him well. I hope they bring him, and not just as manager, but in the front office. You know. But Matthew wants to know who's the ideal manager for the Mets in your opinion. All right, I think pretty much who I mentioned. I mentioned Buck Showalter. I mentioned Mike Scioscia, but I don't think Scioscia would want to be here because he's from California. He's a California guy. But I think Buck Showalter would do it in a heartbeat. He would jump at this job. This is a good job. Let's have a good job here. You want to be manager of the Mets with ownership with deep pockets. What's the other guy I mentioned? John Gibbons. He's played here, as you know. He was in with the Mets in '86, and he's been a manager for a long time. I mentioned Bob Guerin, but I'm not. I'm sort of half and half with Guerin because of the fact that what the hell am I watching? Excuse me. I got the Colorado Rockies and the LA Dodgers on right now. The Dodgers are losing 5-0 in the ninth inning, and idiot Justin Turner is pitching. I shit you not. He's pitching, and they're losing 5-0. They're in this game. Why is he pitching? That's another thing that's got to stop in baseball, as these position players pitching. That's why we have to get I was riding home today, and they were talking about how Howie was talking about how the Mets or some team in the majors have to start lengthening these pitchers out again, because this is why we're getting all these stupid idiot uh, position players pitching. I'm tired of watching these position players pitch. You're up 5-0. You're winning 5. You're losing 5-0. You're still in this game, and you're pitching Justin Turner. This is crazy. But I mentioned Bob Guerin. I am not a big fan of Bob Guerin because he's sort of been I know he was up for the job in 2010 when Terry got the job. I didn't get it, obviously, but they made him bench coach. So I'm sort of half and half. From Richard, what about Edgardo Alfonso's match? Somebody mentioned that on the other channel. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. But he hasn't managed in the minors in 3 years. That's the problem with Fonzie. He hasn't managed. He has to go back to the minors and manage. And he's been a successful minor league manager. I'd like to see him. Hopefully, the Mets do something with him next year, either on the bench or back in the minors. I think he would be a great manager. Quite frankly, I think you'll probably hear Chip Hale again. He's managed. He managed with the Diamondbacks, so you'll see some guys. I think Louis is gone. I think that this is sort of the final nail in the coffin, quite frankly. The Dodgers all yucking this up. Hey, assholes, you're still in this game. Why would you take a knee like this? Why would you throw up the white flag? That's crazy. But yeah, Louis is in a lot of trouble. This thing with the thumbs down does not speak well of him. That means he has zero control of that clubhouse. That never should have gotten out. It never, ever should have gotten out. I'm sure there are players that have done this in the clubhouse and on the road trips and stuff where they complain about the fans. That's understandable. That's not a big deal. But when you take it out onto the field, That means there's a lack of discipline inside the clubhouse that's coming from the manager, and it's no, I haven't been too happy with the manager. There's been some things that I haven't really liked. I mean, I didn't like hearing about how he said that the Mets battled. That's always the death nail of any manager or coach. When they talk about how they battled, they didn't give up, and this and that, and that's always a you know it's always a warning that there's a problem, and obviously there's a problem now. We see it. This never should have happened today. Uh, it's very disheartening in a lot of ways. You know, um, it's really, I've started running out of energy what to say at this point, and I'm sure I'll do a video on the other channel about this. But the idea that the Mets are actually, any player that would do this, uh, they don't stick around too long. From Todd Licata. Lindor complained about the shift, the fans, and push for Baez. And is he running the team now? And he complained about McNeil. Him and McNeil got into a fight. That we can't forget either. So it seems like they gave him too much. He should have proven that he could play here. You know, like I said earlier, and I've said this, and I'll keep saying this now, is that he's very immature, Lindor. And when you react like that to the fans, there's a problem. He's got a problem. He's got a big problem. That's for damn sure. But from Nelson Cruz, they still continue to struggle with men on base. Hard to watch, I know. I didn't watch most of the game. I was out most of the game, most of the day. But this thing, boy, that's got to, they're going to have to address that. But a lot of that is mental toughness, too. It tells you that this team is not mentally tough. It also tells you that. The fact that Lindor's not mentally tough, that Baez certainly isn't mentally tough, and unfortunately Kevin Pillar, who we know he's tough, but he's got rabbit ears. Master Sama, what do you think about the fans booing? They pay the money, they can do whatever they want. As long as they're not on the field. As long as they're not on the field. No problem. There's nothing wrong with booing. I've noticed that too with some of the media. They're trying to shame the fans from booing. Let me just go through my feed again. Now, please like this video if you haven't already. And subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Like I said, I wasn't really planning to do a live stream with this channel tonight. I was going to do a live stream with the Baseball Hut too. But considering what has happened here, I thought it was the value of coming onto this channel tonight and talking to you here tonight. I thought it was the more people watch. From Matthew, honestly, Nimmo's my favorite player on the Mets because he knows he has an obligation to the fans to play well and hustle every day. I agree. Absolutely. He hustles when he walks. He hustles when he gets hit by a pitch. That's the kind of team guy you want on your team. That's the guy you want on your team. You want a guy like Lindor and unfortunately now, and Baez on your team. That's going to have to figure something out with Lindor. This could be a long term. It's going to be a major problem now. If he's like this in the first year, what if they don't win in the next 5 years? Now, Steve Cohen said he wants to win a championship within 3 to 5 years. What if they don't win? And he's still there. And the owner's not going anywhere. And this is some of the stuff that, because there's going to be other instances now. If Mets don't get a handle on this with Lindor, you're going to see other weird situations. It's very off-putting. I'm very put off by this whole thing. I don't know about you guys. But Like I said, please check out Baseball Hut too. I have a video on there later. I don't know what's going to be. It's probably about the manager, I guess. Uh, Best thing with the manager, man, this is a bad situation now. This is a bad situation now. So that he's going to take the hit for this because you can't let your players express themselves like this on the field. It's one thing if you're going crazy around the bases. You do the sort of trot around the bases when you hit a home run. It's another thing when you showing your disdain for the fans. Somebody keeps I was seeing this online. People were mentioning Jack McDowell, and I remember Jack McDowell because he played for the Yankees, but he gave the finger to the fans. Them doing the thumbs down is just another way of saying giving the fans the middle finger. And that basically destroyed his career here with the Yankees. You know, after his contract was up, the Yankees got rid of him. They didn't resign him. Um, so this thing with Lindor, they better get a real hand. Absolutely, John. They better get a handle on this with Lindor because if they don't, it's going to get worse. It's going to get a whole hell of a lot worse. That's for damn sure. Either they figure out how to handle him from a front office standpoint, or they get a better manager. One or the other, or both. You know, they're gonna have to do something because he's already shown to be very immature and that he doesn't understand what it is to play here. So they're gonna have to figure something out. Now, please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Couple of things before I forget. Over the next couple of weeks, when we get closer to the end of the season, hopefully, keep our fingers crossed about where they're going to be at the end of this year. But starting October 9th, there will be a live stream every week on this channel, without fail. So starting on October 9th, we'll have live streams. And then on October 10th, I think there'll be live streams on the Baseball Hut 2. So you need to go and subscribe. And we'll talk all about the Mets as much as I can. But every Saturday night will be the big show here up until we get into spring training and of next year. And we'll talk about the World Series when we get to whoever's in it and who's ever's in the playoffs. But every Saturday will be the live stream because that's what I had last year. And that seemed to be very, very successful. I was very happy with that. And I know that I have another channel called The Comic Cut. The Comic Cut will start getting guests on. I'm going to point out, I'm going to have a YouTuber on this channel soon, a baseball YouTuber. And he's not a Mets fan, he's a Giants fan. So we're going to talk about the Mets and the Giants and Major League Baseball, I guess, when we have him in here. And I'll probably go on his channel too. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I look forward to doing that with him. I haven't set a date yet, so it might be someday over the next week or two. From Matthew, Baez should try to lay off a pitch here and there, and maybe he won't get booed. If I was a pitcher in the ML in the major leagues, I wouldn't throw the man a pitch. Well, a lot of them don't. And he doesn't walk either. The one thing that we've seen over the last month, the Mets haven't walked much. So not only aren't they getting like big hits, and not only are they leaving a lot of men on base, but they're not walking either, which means there's a big problem. Just pitch selection, everything else. Mets are gonna have to do something with this lineup. Like I said, it's gonna be at least 3 changes on this team now, and I would be shocked if Baez was back here next year. Be shocked. I just don't see it. I would be extremely surprised if he was here. This is a bad situation now, and it is what it is. The Mets, like I said, the Mets are going to have to figure out where they stand now, and I'm talking about ownership, where this team stands in terms of the manager, in terms of some of these players. Some of these players are holdovers from the last regime. We also have to remember That Robinson Cano's coming back next year too. So I think somebody asked me about who's going to play second. It might be it might be Robinson Cano or the DH. He might be DHing. So Mets might have Robinson Cano back. From Matthew, Lindor's swing is too long for my liking. Also, he's too late on fastballs that hittable. Now, I'd seen something last year, and I should have mentioned it, that his exit velocity on balls that he has hit has gone down, meaning his bat's gotten slow. And I think we've seen a lot of balls that he has hit this year have been a lot of ground balls, a lot of weak ground balls. That's not good. For John Talento, I'd like to see them call up Khalil Lee. Well, we'll see. They can only call up 2 players now because of what the new rules in baseball. Uh, it's not like before where they called up like the 40-man roster. From Mark Postrong, thank God for Pete Alonso. That's right. Pete Nimmo, Alonso and Nimmo. Didn't have them, boy, they'd be in big trouble. Bigger trouble than they are right now. But what a fun day this was. What a fun live stream. Let me talk about the players putting their thumbs down to the fans. We're going to show them. Really? It's stupid. From Nelson Cruz, Dave Roberts does some funny moves. Yeah, that's weird. From Matthew, Cano was very solid in 2020. I would like to see him back in 2022. And the Mets, well, of course he was good in 2020. He was doing steroids again. Of course he was good. He better be good if he's doing the juice again. Now, if he gets caught again, he's done. If he gets caught one more time with steroids, his career's over. That's a Brody move, a Brody Van Wagenen move. What a horrible move that was. Now Diaz has pitched well. Mets have gotten so that they got him to calm down a lot. I think the big reason they've gotten him to calm down is because the nightlife's kind of limited here this year. I think that that has helped a lot. That's right, Charlie. Well, you never know. From Matthew, how much do you think steroids helps a player? Well, it helps them enough that they're doing it. I mean, if they're doing it, they must think that it's helping them, right? I mean, really. If it wasn't helping them, why was McGuire doing it? Why was San Sosa doing it? Why was Rafael Palmeiro doing it? Canseco, you know. But well, I guess that's going to be it. Yeah, it worked for Todd. Yeah, don't forget about Todd Hundley. Alexis Monroe. Villar too. He's been good. Some of the Met free agent signings have been very good. Jonathan Villar's been excellent. Taiwan Walker's been excellent. This front office has not done a bad job. Some of the holdovers from the last regime have been terrible. Dom Smith is terrible. McNeil has been terrible. Conforto has been terrible. McCann, I got kind of what I expected out of McCann. But McCann can't hit the ball on the ground. He's got to hit that ball in the air. It's a ball on the ground. He's going to be 200 hitter. But he's just keeping the seat warm until Alvarez is here. Again, I want to mention the minor league system about Vientos and Beatty. They're going to be here next year, I would assume. First of all, you can't trade them. And I would assume that they'll probably be here at some point next year. The way that Vientos has destroyed Double-A, I don't see him starting Double-A next year. I would assume that he'll be in Triple-A next year. The Met farm system did not get a good grade. They had the 22nd best farm system. 22 out of 30 farm systems. So the depth was not there. They didn't sign Kumar Rocker. And because of that, and they put all their eggs in one basket with him, The rest of the Met draft was not very good from what I've read. Um, I was going to talk about that tonight on the baseball hut too. But boy, oh boy, the Mets are in a big mess right now. Just in terms of the you know the major league team. But it's going to take a while for them to really build up the Mets farm system. But they have talent. They do have talent at the upper levels. Losing Matt Allen hurts, but Jin is doing well. Uh, but keep an eye on Vientos and like I said, Beatty, because they're probably the closest to being here. Mauricio, he might be another year away. It might be 2023. He sort of had an up and down kind of year in Brooklyn. They didn't call him up to Double A, so they kept him in Brooklyn all year. There's sort of some like debate how good he's going to be. But Beatty's good. He's going to be good. He's the second, I guess, the eighth best prospect at third. I don't even know what Beatty is, but I know Beatty took off on those lists. But all right, I'm going to end the live stream now. I aired out all my anger, as it were, about this thing with BAEZ. And if you're watching on replay, please leave comments in the comments section. And I'll be back again at some point in the near future doing a live stream. But probably next week, next Sunday, barring anything crazy, I'll be on the baseball hut too. And if you're on your mobile device, you just scroll down, you'll see the baseball hut too. And please click on that and subscribe. I'm also on Facebook if you want to follow me on Facebook too, at the baseball hut. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I aired it out. I think we all aired it out. And I thank you for coming by. There might be a live stream tomorrow with the comic book hut in the evening. We'll see. But I'll be back next Sunday, Baseball Hut 2. Keep your eye out for this channel. Videos. There's going to be videos. There's going to be a lot of videos. I'll have a video probably on Steve Cohen probably later. And on something on the Baseball Hut later, definitely. And starting October 9th, we'll start the regular live streams with this channel. So every week we'll be on Saturday, probably around 7 o'clock, and talk about the Mets. And this is going to the World Series and into November and December in the off season. And we'll have live streams to Baseball Hut 2 on Sundays. They won't be nearly as long, maybe a half hour to 45 minutes. This will be a little bit longer form on this channel, but we'll see. And that's pretty much it. I mean, really. And then I'll be having a guest on here at some point talking about the Giants and the Mets and where he thinks his team's going. So I want to thank you all for coming by. Thank you for the wonderful, very lively chat. Thank you, and I'll see you later.